I'm Kat with a C.
And I'm Kat with a K.
And this is Two Cats in a Movie. So since the Super Bowl is on Sunday, we of course decided on football movies. Woo, 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 woo. So, and in case you were wondering, we will be rooting for the Bengals and Joe Burrow on Sunday.
Let's go, Bengals. Let's go. Let's go, Bengals. Let's go. Woo, woo, woo.
All right, counting down, we have Waterboy. So, the Waterboy for a college football team discovers he has a unique tackling ability and gets to play on the football team. Adam Sandler. Oh, Adam Sandler. I love Adam, and he's the Waterboy, of course. And they paired him with Henry Winkler, which made it that much more hilarious. And we're from Louisiana, as you can tell by the Saints uniform. And the backwater hillbilly humor in this movie is just hilarious. I love it.
And that's one reason I don't like this movie, but I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about this particular film is that it is the highest grossing sports comedy film of all time. So here's the funny thing. The second highest grossing sports film of all time just so happens to be another Adam Sandler movie called The Longest Yard that may or may not be making an appearance today. So you can watch this on Prime. Mm-hmm. Oh, yay. Next up is Wildcats.
Woohoo, go Wildcats.
That's right. Wildcats is about a rookie high school football coach played by Goldie Hawn who is finding it a bit harder to get her inner city students to play ball, so to speak.
Yeah.
So normally I don't particularly like Goldie Hawn by herself. I love Goldie Hawn in general, yes, but I don't always like her standalone comedies. But this one I love. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's such a good story. It's hilarious, mostly because she has a really great supporting cast, including
Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. And this is both of theirs film debut. And they're in another sports movie together, but more on that next time. And you can rent this one on Prime. That brings us to The Blind Side. So the story of Michael Orr, a homeless and traumatized boy who became an All-American football player and the first-round NFL draft pick with the help of a caring woman and her amazing family. So this heartwarming true story, it really shows how family lifts you up and can be found anywhere. And I super love the scene where Sandra's character, who's playing the mother, gets Michael to defend the line and his quarterback when the coach tried everything and it didn't work. I love that scene.
Well, on that note of showing that family can be anyone and everyone, which I love that part of this film as well because his sister, Collins, who's uber smart, advanced AP classes all over the place, drops a ton of those and rearranges her schedule just to be with Michael and help him graduate, which I think is just one of a great selfless acts.
Yes,
now you can watch this by renting it on Prime. Hey, I think I mentioned this earlier. The Longest Yard. Yay! All right. So an evil warden asks a former pro quarterback who is now spending time in his prison to put together a football team of inmates to play against and actually get pummeled by the guards. It's hilarious. It's absolutely and utterly hilarious. And the little known fact that you may not know is that there's two.
Yes.
There's a 1970s The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds, and then there happens to be the sequel with Adam Sandler. Now, the first one is really good, but I preface, it's 1970s. Yeah, it's a bit more violent and more graphic than you were expecting. And the sequel is almost word for word, scene for scene, exactly the same, just with a lot more humor.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I love that Burt Reynolds is in both films. So he plays the quarterback in the original, and then he plays the seasoned football player who's in prison in the remake. And when he goes into the game toward the end of the film and plays and then gets injured, he did that stunt all on his own. He's like, I've got one more in me. And when he got helped off the field, that wasn't acting. So I totally love that.
Go Burt Reynolds.
Yes, the original is on Cinemax, and then you can watch the remake on Netflix. This brings us to Rudy.
Yay!
Rudy has always been told that he is too small to play college football, but he is determined to overcome the odds, and fulfill his life's dream to play for Notre Dame. So this is an amazing true story, and I super love it when you're telling true stories if you can put the original person that the story is about in the movie. And they do that in Rudy. So Daniel Rudy Rudiger is sitting next to Ned Beatty at the end of the film during the football game. And Ned Beatty even playfully bats him at one point.
Okay, so Rudy in the film is played by none other than the brave, the wonderful Samwise Gamgee. Sean Astin! Woohoo! We love Sean Astin. He's awesome and amazing. And this just happens to be one of only 2 films. It's the second one. It's the second film of one of only 2 films to film on the Notre Dame campus.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool. And you can watch this one on Stars.
Yeah.
So next, Necessary Roughness. So Necessary Roughness is about due to cheating and a dean that thinks football is for Neanderthals, the Texas State University Fatten Armadillos must create their football team from their enrolled students to play the football season. Shocking!
Oh my
It's amazing!
How will we do this?
I know, right? It's a really good storyline. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was.
But it was.
It was great. So it's not the typical bring back the old guy to relive his glory days. He really comes back to teach them, to teach these young ones things. And in the process, his roommate happens to be this big, adorable Samoan guy that gets to date Kathy Ireland because she's on the team.
Yes. And that older football player, high school glory day guy is Scott Bakula. Woohoo! Need I say more? But I'm gonna. He is joined by Hector Elizondo, Robert Loggia, Rob Schneider, and Jason Bateman, just to name a few. Incredible cast. They did a phenomenal job, and you can watch this one on Stars. So, next up is Little Giants. Danny O'Shea has forever lived in the shadow of his big brother, the great football player, Kevin O'Shea. But when Danny's daughter gets cut from Kevin's Pee-wee football team, Danny brings together a squad of picked last and losers to prove that you need heart as well as skill to play the game. So, I admit it, I had a little crush on Devon Swa, which is one of the reasons I like this movie. And what? Do you have something to say?
Little crush.
That's right, it was a little crush.
The poster in your room would say otherwise.
Silence. So, like I said, it's not the only reason I love the film. This film is side-splittingly hilarious. And Emmitt Smith, along with other NFL legends, make an appearance in the film as themselves.
So side-splittingly hilarious because Rick Moranis happens to play Danny O'Shea. Yay! Freaking hilarious. Love this movie. Part of my childhood. Wanted to be a little giant. Yeah. And here's the cool fact about this film. So the jerseys that the Cowboys wear in the film just happen to be the jerseys that the actual Dallas Cowboys wore during the 1994 season because it was part of the NFL's 75th anniversary. Yeah. That's cool, right?
So cool.
Now you can watch this one by renting it on Prime. Here we go. Invincible!
I am invincible!
So Invincible is the story based on Vince Papale, who is a 30-year-old bartender from South Philly who overcame long odds to play for the Philadelphia Eagles in 1976. This is really cool. This is really cool because the coach, Dick Vermeil, who happened to be the coach of the 1976 Eagles, was also their coach when they went to the Super Bowl in 1981 for the very first time. Well, they lost. And they win again, and then they lost. But in 2018, when I just happened to live in Philadelphia, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and won. Yay! Oh my gosh, the city was on fire, and the noise.
The
my
rioting.
goodness. Yes.
So she called us, and we were watching the game via phone. You could hear the rioting through the walls of her apartment through the phone.
I was 4 stories up. It was awesome.
Yes. The story of Vince Papale is beyond inspiring. It is invigorating. And Mark Wahlberg did a phenomenal job portraying him, even though he's considerably shorter than the real Papale. He's got mad skills. Mark and Papale.
Yes.
And you can watch this one, of course, on Disney+. So that brings us to some old school football movie, Knute Rockne All-American. So, the true story of legendary Notre Dame football player and coach Knute Rockne. This is the other film we were talking about, the first film that was filmed on Notre Dame campus. So, Knute Rockne revolutionized football, and he was the one who invented the forward pass. This man was amazing, and anyone who calls themselves a football fan has to see this movie. If you don't, shame on you. And what's even cooler is that in the original Longest Yard, they mention Knute Rockne at one point, and you're like, oh! It's great.
It's absolutely great. So, have you ever heard of George Gipp?
Yeah.
George Gipp was one of Knute's players, and in the movie is portrayed by none other than baby President Ronald Reagan. Now, that man was always handsome, but as a young 20-something, he gives a new meaning to the word handsome.
Yes.
The movie is worth watching just for that. He does an excellent job. Now, George Gipp is important because if you're a Notre Dame fan, you know that at games you say, win one for the Gipper. And that happens to be in honor of George Gipp. Highly recommend this film. It's absolutely wonderful. You can rent it on Prime. All right. A little underrated film. This is called Facing the Giants. Facing the Giants is about a losing coach with an underdog football team, and they are facing giants of fear and failure on and off the field with surprising results. All right, this movie is one of my favorite movies and has everything that you need in life. The 2 things to get through life.
That's right.
God and football. That's it.
That's it. That's all you need.
That is all you need. This movie embodies that. Because just like Knute Rockne, this coach is not teaching these kids to win a football game. He is teaching them the principles of life, and he is doing that by using biblical principles. It is just amazing, inspiring, a box of Kleenexes for the tears of joy. If you don't cry, you have no soul.
And it's not just moving. This movie is fun, too.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the assistant head coaches. And I love the scene where they are training, the football team is training, and they do this training exercise called the death crawl. Now, this is not something that normal football teams did. This was something they invented for the movie, and it is rigorous. And the whole scene that revolves around the death crawl is so inspiring. It's just great. Now, you can watch this one for free on the TBN app.
Yes.
So, we've reached our honorable mentions. All right, take it away.
Hallmark! Because it had to show up on the list somewhere. Love on the Sidelines. So Love on the Sidelines is about an injured football player, but the focus is about his relationship with his new assistant. So it's not really a football movie, but it's wonderful.
Yes. Now we have Trouble Along the Way, John Wayne. More on that later. But he is building a football team for a dying Catholic college, but that's really a backdrop to his custody battle for his daughter with his ex-wife. But great movie.
Oh, yes. Very, very great. More Disney. The Game Plan with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's playing an awesome football player who just happens to get the surprise of finding out he has a daughter. And that's really the focus, his relationship with his newly found daughter.
Yeah. So we couldn't really think of any more football movies, so we decided to give you some of the football episodes from our favorite TV shows.
Okay, so Murder, She Wrote. Season 1, episode 16, it's called Sudden Death. And then Jessica inherits shares in a football team, a losing football team.
And then we have Friends, Season 3, Episode 9, the one with the football, because who doesn't love a little sibling rivalry? Okay.
So, MASH. Season 1, Episode 20, the Army-Navy game. So while trying to keep up with the game, they're also trying to stay alive during the bombing.
Yes.
It's very, very funny.
Hilarity. And then more hilarity, we have Third Rock from the Sun, and that's Season 3, Episode 14 and 15, 36, 24, 36, Dick! We are at Super Bowl 32 trying to stop a Venusian invasion.
It's actually aired around that. I remember
Yeah,
this.
it did.
So, next up, more Scott Bakula, Quantum Leap. So Season 2, Episode 14, All-American. It's November 6th, 1962. Thank you. 1962. And Sam must save the championship football game.
In case y'all hadn't noticed, we're huge Scott Bakula fans.
Go Captain Archer.
Woo! And last but not least, How to Play Football, the 1944 Goofy short.
Disney.
Yay. So we've reached it. More Disney, our perfect pick. Remember the Titans.
Woohoo!
So this is the true story of a newly appointed African-American coach and his high school football team on their first season as a racially integrated unit. So this one makes you laugh, cry, scream, and shout. It's history, our history, and that is very important. It was so well cast, and everybody did a great job, especially Denzel Washington.
Yes, he did. I love this because instead of giving you a narrator that's Coach Boone or Coach Yost, or even one of the football players from back then, they chose to have Coach Yost's daughter be the narrator. And at the time that this is taking place, she was 9 years old. And it's so awe-inspiring to see how much she looked up to her dad and how much she understood what was going on and looking up to both these men and all of these players.
Yeah.
I was probably also like 9 when we saw it the first time, so I may have a big connection. So you can watch this one on Disney Plus, of course.
Yeah. So that's our list. We hope you enjoyed. We want to hear about your favorite football movies, so tell us in the comments below.
Now don't forget to like and subscribe and share.
And until next time,
keep searching for that perfect pick.